Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you enjoyed part 1 of the Inakustik tour video, all the highlights. Now it's time to get to the nitty gritty and start sharing just the actual footage I did on the tour. And the good thing for me in some respects is I didn't have to edit much in terms of cutting out anything that wasn't interesting. I mean, you're going to pretty much it's a long video, so it might not be easy for you to get through the whole thing. So I'll break it into chapters, giving you parts that talk about the construction, quality control, some of the technology, the unique spacers that they use, 3D printing that they use to be almost self-sufficient with everything. As you've seen in the preview video with the laser engraving, even for the aesthetic elements. And then I'll break it up into separate videos when we talk about power conditioners, maybe the lab work and the experiments they showed me, and then the recording studio side of things and the warehouse. So there's going to be a lot of footage. This is just part 1 of the actual footage. But I wanted, before I get started, wanted to share with you, I got a lot of emails after the first video about how can I buy Inakustik. I don't have a dealer in my area. They're not as well dispersed in North America. So what you should do is a couple options. Obviously, you can contact Inakustik facility, especially if you're worldwide watching this. North America, I do know the distributor and I do know some dealers that can help you out. And certainly if you go through me, they like to take care of people I know and make sure it's done right, because they'll hear about it if not. So you can email me or find the distributors yourself if you want to do that. Now, getting on to the footage for today, there's really not much else to say other than I apologize if there's some difference in volume. Like I said, I'm a more amateur channel. I don't bring these separate mics for the person. So I did some editing to get the volume up. Holger's got a much lower voice than I was anticipating with the noise floor. So I did a lot of noise reduction and some equal of leveling the volume, but it's not going to be perfect. So I know right away. But one thing I want to say is, the Inakustik guys are great. They're like, we want you to come out. We want an authentic video. We don't want a lot of, like, your style is what we believe in, authenticity. And what I appreciated is how authentic these guys are. So not only I want you to pay attention to the technology and everything that goes behind it, but the guys behind it, to me, are even better. And that's saying a lot. I really love these guys. These are the kind of people in the hobby you want to support. And one of the reasons I want to showcase this is not just the technology and get you comfortable with that end, which, quite frankly, with other companies, no matter how much you paid, how much can you really say that you know about how these cables that you bought were constructed? You're assuming a lot, but really, how much do you really know? Here, you're going to be able to have that comfort and also the people behind it. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, about to start the tour with Sven. You guys have seen him in my videos for Munich. Hey, Sven.
Yeah, I'm Sven. I'm the sales manager from Inakustik, and happy to show you around. Later on, I introduce my colleague, the product developer. But
okay, yeah. Again, this is a beautiful part of southwest Germany, near the Black Forest.
Yeah, this is the assembly area.
Oh, really cool.
We assemble our cables, and I will hand over to my colleague Holger, who is the product developer.
Yeah, Holger. I met you at Munich as well.
Yes, nice to meet you again here.
Yes,
nice to have
and it's great to be here. Yeah, I've watched many of your videos as well. Very impressed with how you guys design and assemble these cables. So I wanted to share firsthand in the facility what your thoughts were and go through a little bit of this.
Thank you very much. So I'm Holger. I'm responsible for the product development here at Inakustik, especially for the cables, for the high-end cables, also medium-range cables and entry-level cables. So here we are in the assembly area. You will see some more things later on, also where we start the assembly. So we grow during the last couple of years. So also we have more employees here in the assembly area. We have more space than a couple of years ago. But let's start here. Come on.
Okay. And you'll have about almost 50 employees, huh? It's 40 something?
41 in total. Half of it is working. That's what Holger says. on the other hand.
Well, that's better than most companies. I know my company, maybe 2 or 3 of the 40 something I have. So yeah.
We have 10 working here, sometimes 13. Sometimes we have extra workers, students who help us out. And we have 6 to 8 people working and helping us in the Caritas, where they pre-assemble our cables. That's a place where handicapped people work, and we include them in the work. So it's like 10 plus those 6 to 8, sometimes 20 people working in the assembly.
Is that right? Okay, great. Okay, let's take a look. This is cool.
Yeah, so as you know, these high-end cables, most of it's done by hand, so we don't have a lot of machines. We have some small machines you will see later on to help a little bit, but most of it is really done by hand. So all the soldering work, all the screwing, all the compressing and crimping work is all done by hand. And we're really happy to have good people here working since many years, so they really know what they do, and they can really guarantee a high quality. And last but not least, we also have the quality management and all the quality tests afterwards. You will also see later on.
And what is being done right here?
Oh, this gentleman is making the 2404 interconnect cable and is assembling the shielding and the braiding, the end. So you see, this cable is made of a lot of separate parts, single parts, and has to be all done by hand. So now he has made on the shielding, for example, here he's preparing the end of the cable, so to finish everything, to make the final braiding on it, and after that he will solder the connectors here. So, and it's all done by hand, step by step.
Yeah, handmade
Cables, yes, right.
And what is the time frame it would take from start to finish to do a standard interconnect cable?
That depends on the type of cable. We have some cables for the entry level, like the NM104, which goes much quicker than, for example, interconnect 2404 or a speaker cable 4004. 4004 really takes a lot of time.
Up to 2 days.
Up to 2 days. Depending on the length.
Because the amount of conductors and and all these spacers you have to put in. And also the length that people order probably impact that too, yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially when it's done by hand, so yeah.
All the testing afterwards. So
testing and quality control.
Some more production steps around the R series, which is really a lot of work on that.
Yeah, this is good to show, okay.
So here we have the soldering station. Also with some special tools to remove the braiding. That's not so easy sometimes. We also have the soldering station here, which is computer controlled with the temperature.
Okay.
To keep
which is important, yeah.
Very important to keep the temperature stable. And it's also ROSE compliant, so we don't use any, what was it, Blei? What is it called? Blei? Bleach?
Lead, yes.
Exactly,
yeah.
No
Okay.
lead inside.
Yes,
so
that's
it's
cool.
Very important. Here we have another soldering station, similar than on the opposite side, where this lady is soldering the interconnect cables. Also all done by hand.
And maybe interesting to say that at the top range, the air cables, we don't solder it, we press them.
Yeah,
sure. We show that later.
Yeah, I noticed you do very impressive crimping of certain cables. So that,
Exactly.
yeah.
But depending on the type of cable, we are soldering the connectors, and on the upper range we press them, we crimp them.
And these are your own connectors.
Yes, right. So we have all the connectors we developed by ourselves. Let me give an example here. This one, for example, is consists of different parts. Let me have a look. Where's the pin of it?
So one of the themes of today I want to get across is how different this company is from the hundreds of other cable companies. At least when I looked into them, they checked every box. This isn't just another company putting Furatech connectors on a 2-conductor and then making a big fat insulation snake-sized wire to impress people with a fancy jacket. I mean, they are doing everything from the conductors to the connectors. They're doing it by hand, using solder when it makes sense, but using crimping when it makes sense. So again, every checkbox that I had was filled. But let's take a look here.
So what we have here, for example, is one interconnect. It's an RCR connector we developed by ourselves. So where the workers, you see these tiny holes here.
Yeah.
So two of them here. So depending if we have a symmetrical cable or a coaxial cable, the workers put in the wires here, and the hot wire they put in here. So they compress it with a special tool, and afterwards they put this inside here. And also compress the whole connector, so there's no solder work.
Oh, so that's very unique, I think.
That's very unique.
This is
absolutely,
extremely unique. Yeah, I'm not an expert on connectors. I haven't seen all of them, but I've never seen.
Yeah,
That's-
there are some details you don't see immediately, but we do not use brass. We use tellurium copper,
Tellurium,
which is another
a little harder.
Yeah, so
Oh.
it has a much higher conductivity than brass.
Brass, okay.
And it's also hard to have this high connection, this high
Keeps this firmer connection, which is important.
Very important.
Because the surface area connection, the people, that you're sabotaging whatever's in the cable if it's half hanging out, not even firm. People don't realize that. But the tellurium cop, that's something, again, I'm talking today about everything different that you guys do, from the connector to that tellurium copper, when other people are using lesser materials that would impact the connection quality.
And the surface, it's not, as you can see, not gold plated. It's rhodium plated.
Rhodium, yeah.
Yeah, rhodium is has not has the connectivity of rhodium is not as good like of gold, but the durability is much higher. So if you have a gold connector, you plug it in and out a few times, then you will see that the gold surface is suffering.
Yep.
Scratches and stuff.
Scratches and everything, and it's losing the connectivity. Furthermore, if you want to make a gold plating, you need a nickel plating underneath. So you have a conductor which has 3 layers. So it's
A different
brass.
type, yeah.
So regular connectors are made of brass. They have the nickel plating, and on top they have the gold plating. So here we have the tellurium copper, and directly on it we have the rhodium plating. So the connectivity is much better than on common.
And most importantly, reliability. People always forget about reliability in gear. This, you can unplug, change gear. Audiophiles, they are constantly changing gear and changing cables. This makes it much more reliable over the long term.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so great, yeah.
So this is this cable. This lady is assembling right now, so it's coming from the Micro Air series. We have the Air series. I will talk about the Air series later on, why we use this technology, but it's very complicated and very expensive to produce the Air products. And we thought how to make a similar series on a more affordable price. And this is why we developed this Micro Air series. And I will take off the...
Oh, wow.
You see, we have this braiding underneath the shielding, and these chambers, they built the air insulation. So we have also a lot of air inside the cable to reduce the capacitance of the cable. And underneath that we have the... Let's see, this is... I damaged a little bit the conductor inside, but it has a very regular structure, so not chaotical. It's very strict style of cable.
So basically, you could say in every price level we are working, we always pay attention to details and do the best we can in that price range.
Right. You trickle down the technology as much as possible for all price points. And the fact that you offer price points that can fit in a budget system all the way up to cost no object systems is another separating factor from you guys. You're not just trying to target the bragging rights, mega dollar systems. You can help people that are new to the hobby getting a quality cable that gets a lot of the trickle down. So that's impressive. So yeah.
I mean, we're doing this since 1977. So
That's
like
it.
46
That's
years
another
now.
thing that separates you from almost every other cable
I
company.
am 1 year older than the company. I just
1
like to
year
say
older?
that.
Okay.
But you're looking much older.
No, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, thank you. Actually, so let's just real quick. You're a top-ranked tennis player in your age bracket on the ITF.
In my age, yeah.
Yes.
45 to 49. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he's pretty good at that. So, just an aside.
Let me ask my colleague to prepare something for later on.
Okay.
Jason, maybe one thing also, we do interconnects, we do speaker cables, but we also do cut cables.
Okay. Yeah.
In this case, it's cut 7 Holger, right?
These
Cat 7
cables, yeah. So the cable itself is a Cat 7, but it's using Cat 6 connectors. You may know Cat 7 connectors are not very common, so we will use this Cat 6 connectors. But the wire itself is Cat 7.
And what you see there is a little personal touch that we want to give to our customers. That when you open the box, you know who made the cable.
That's great.
Just writing in what you produced, the date and the signature. So it's handmade and it's a personal touch, and if someone else does this production, then it's a different signature. So it's like a nice,
Like
personal touch.
its own birth certificate and tracking. That's
The
good.
birth certificate not of the worker, but of the cable.
Yes.
Here we have, this is, what do we call it, a kind of hot glue, the molding system, what we have for different cables. We need the molding, so that means we have these toolings where the cables come in, so the worker is using this tool here.
Let me come around this way here a second.
Good condition here. You see we have high pressure here and a high temperature, so you see the worker is using this pistol and
Okay. All right. So
inject-
almost like a hot glue type thing, but it's
exactly
into this mold,
injecting this
into the mold when the cables are. That's it. Okay. So yeah, that enhances the performance and reliability.
And so depending on the different cables and connectors, we have different tools.
Right.
In the meantime, we make the tools by ourselves, so we have the opportunity to do that. You will see it later on.
Well, I think the important thing to take away here is that, cable consistency in assembly, having these tools that make it consistently, and this technology that, again, people that are making cables in their garage, do it yourself, or not having these facilities and tools, you cannot, there's a higher chance of something failing over time. And consistency and reliability is something that people overlook with cables. I've seen it firsthand with very high-priced cables. I'm not going to name any names, but it's good to see, you have tools for each type of cable, this kind of process, going that extra length to make sure everything is reliable.
Yeah, this is maybe something Marius will explain later on.
Okay.
So this is just for testing power cables.
Oh, really?
There are a lot of rules in Europe. I guess in US it's the same for safety reasons. And this machine is making all the safety tests, all the mechanical tests. Really, we are stressing these cables in advance.
That's great.
You
Yeah.
can see all these samples here, all in the boxes here. They are prepared, and they will not be in use after the test. So
Oh, really?
unfortunately, that's all waste afterwards.
Really? So if they fail the test,
They do not fail. They have passed the test.
okay.
But of course, we can't sell them after the test.
Oh,
We do a
because
bending test, like 5,000 times this direction, 5,000
Okay.
times the other.
Yeah.
But let's do that in a while with Marius.
yeah,
to get in.
that's fascinating though. That's going the
So
extra
this
mile.
is for samples, for toolings, all the things we make with the 3D printers, prototyping, all the things like if you need a new barrel, if you need a new connector, we can in advance we can make the 3D print samples. We check if everything is fit before we start mass production or something, or before we start any injection tools or something, which really costs a lot of money. So we can do it in advance.
Do some simulations and testing.
These ones here, they are. You will see also later. These are adapters which we need for the laser engraving, and this is done also with a 3D print.
That's cool.
if I understood you correctly, Holger, it saves a lot of time during the developing stage when we can get our tooling and do them ourselves. And before that, we were depending on other companies for very small parts. Can you please help us? It took forever.
Especially COVID, supply chains were hurt.
Exactly,
so the fact that you're making yourself self-reliant, another A+ on that metric. Yeah.
It's also, if you got a crazy idea, it makes it somehow easy. And
it's a lot easier to implement and test. Yeah.
Holger has a lot of crazy ideas.
Also
Do we have a stack of all the crazy ideas in the bin? Did y'all keep them?
and also to convince the dealer to spend money.
Oh, that's the other problem, huh? Yes. They were good ideas until you told them how much it cost.
So, okay. What we have here is a machine which helps to prepare, let's say, more or less a standard cable, like a standard coaxial cable or speaker cables. It's making all the cuttings and removes the insulation, everything. So we have it's a computerized system. So the workers, they have the program inside. They start to put in the cable, start the machine, and afterwards the machine.
Keep it standardized. There's again reliability, consistency. Yeah. Tools like this are not cheap, probably either, and that's a good investment.
It's a Swiss machine from Switzerland.
Really?
Nothing is
from that cheap.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
This might be very interesting for you. With these things, this helps to make the air cable. You know, we have this small clips. They also developed from ourselves, and somehow we have to get in the wires, and this area helps. So the workers had to put in all the single clips in the right direction into this clip holders here, and depending on the length of the cable, they have. Oh, sorry, you see. Developing is okay, but
you're a very good product developer, but you're a terrible worker. Terrible.
That's true. So they have to put in all the clips here, depending on the length, and terrible worker, you're right. And if you put in all the clips, you have to take one as an example. He has to put in the wires by hand.
Wow.
So that's really.
But I do want to showcase why you guys do this. If you don't know why they do this air dielectric, we'll do a deeper dive maybe a little later talking about it. But in short, this is to control the capacitance, lower the capacitance for certain types of cables. And this is very innovative to keep the proper spacing. A lot of companies have tried to do things to make the conductors separate, but it's very important to keep the spacing exact and consistent throughout the cable. And then your cables are super flexible even with this in there. And so that is the genius, I think, of what you guys were able to.
I wouldn't call him a genius, but he's pretty good in what he's doing.
Pretty good. He's getting there. He's getting there.
If I wake up, so
okay, yeah, here's a chance to see. Yeah.
Yeah, you see this the final structure, internal structure of this is an interconnect cable NF2404. You see this helix structure, and as you mentioned, so the wires, they have a really fixed position, and it's exactly calculated so that the capacitance is the lowest you can get in this structure, and you see it's really extremely flexible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And also the distance between the wires keeps the same. Doesn't matter how you bend it.
That's incredible because even the biggest objectivist, cable denier, whatever, understands that things like capacitance can impact cable performance, especially at long runs. It can build up quite well. So the fact that you're paying attention to it to this level of degree only, further enhances another checkbox on my standpoint that under known physics metrics, you are trying to do the best possible and give people a true high-end cable that maintains also, look how just light and flexible. So when it's in your connecting into your gear, it's not stressing the connections and sabotaging all the work that you've done. And here's some finished ones here. This is beautiful. Yeah.
Speaker cable 24/4. See, there's more wires inside.
This is a lot of work, and there's a lot of genius in here. And this is why I'm at Inakustik today, because this level of construction and genius is something that intrigued me. Even though I've never been big into spending money on cables, I would spend money for this level of construction.